Welcome back to the Daily Buzz 716. Do you remember this voice?
Hi, I'm Jim Santella, and you're not.
DJ Jim Santella's radio career here in Buffalo spanned many stations and genres of music and earned him the title Father of Progressive Radio. He recently chronicled his career in the book Classic Rock, Classic Jock. And we are so happy he's with us today. Welcome, Jim.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
A local legend, truly, literally.
Before we start anything, I'd like to pay homage to the passing of Tom Petty, who was one of the important rock songwriters. Why he's important for me especially is that songwriters like Tom Petty are important. They tell our stories. And Tom Petty has one song that I've always identified with. And I wrote down the lyrics of just one of the choruses, and tell me if he doesn't sound a little bit familiar.
Okay.
And there goes the last DJ who plays what he wants to play and says what he wants to say. And there goes your freedom of choice. There goes the last human voice. There goes the last DJ. That's me.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Did he write that a long time ago?
Yes, he did.
He saw the future.
Yes,
Tom Petty.
it's amazing.
He saw the future.
Yeah.
Well, now, let's take a minute and go back. Let's go back in time, sir. Let's go back in time to get great sound effect. And you fell in love with radio and music at a very young age.
I am a child of radio. I was born in a radio. I have inner diodes and crystals and stuff like that. I'm an old-time radio person.
Well, you built your own crystal radio. Most of us today wouldn't even know what that is.
I love not only music, not only radio, but music as well. There was a time when I thought, I want to know every artist and a style of music of the 20th century. Country music, blues, rock, Broadway. And once I started doing it, I realized that's a 3-lifetime job. So let me do the best that I can. I've been fortunate to play in jazz groups. I think there's some images of me working in radio in college.
Right there.
I'm ashamed to say this, but I tried to act on stage too.
It's
the
true.
operative word, the operative word was try.
In this book, and I don't know that the camera will be able to pick up the photograph, but in this book you'll find a picture of Jim on stage at Alleyway Theater.
I have to thank Neil Radis, the director of the Alleyway, because he gave me a chance and said, would you like, I have a part for you if you'd like to do it. And
I don't know that the camera will pick it up, Jim, but it's
We
here.
hope Neil watches our show because we talk about him all the time. All the time, really. Tell us how you got started in radio, though. How'd you get your first job? Because it's hard to get started in radio.
Sure.
I was a music major at UB, and in Baird Hall, the music building, there was the school radio station. My roommate was Joel DeBartolo, who would go on later to be a bass player with the Tonight Show Orchestra. And one day I'm going to the Union, and there he is with his cousin, who, Greg Perley was his name, and he did a jazz show on the station. Well, I thought I could do the jazz show better than him. I had no background. I didn't know anything.
But you had confidence.
I just knew I knew more about jazz.
And I'm sure you were right.
I tried to convince him. I wrung out every name from John Coltrane to Miles Davis to Louis Armstrong. And I had the nerve to tell him, if you ever need a disc jockey to fill in, I can do that for you.
You were his man.
And did it happen?
2 days later, he called me. He said, would you like to do a show? I said, yeah. He says, I'll meet you at the station tomorrow, show you what to do, and you'll be on your own. I go to the station. He says, you take the album and you put it here, you put the container here.
Press play.
Okay. Then you take the song you want to play, put it on the list, give it to the engineer, and that's it. Here's the button, put your microphone on. Tomorrow, it's you on the air.
How'd that go?
I showed up, he didn't. I took his job away from him. That got me started. I started doing an overnight show called The Extension, in which I could play anything I wanted. And this primarily was what was called psychedelic music.
So Extension was on WBFO.
Originally, yes.
And it was significant because it was free-form programming.
Exactly.
And that's what you became known for.
I wanted to play, like I said, all kinds of music. So when I said all kind of music, I didn't mean all kind of rock music, all kind of blues, all kind of jazz. I meant all kind of music. So on Extension, you might hear Cream, who had just started, and this would have been 1968. Eine kleine Nachtmusik, Mozart, the Beatles.
So you really were mixing it up.
Yes.
I mean, really, that's kind of all over the place.
That's why they used to call it AOR, all over the road.
And somewhere along the way, you rubbed elbows with a lot of famous people that our viewers would recognize: Joan Baez, James Taylor, David Bowie. How did that happen?
Let me tell you a story about Judy Collins.
Okay.
We're broadcasting. I'm working at a radio station called WPHD, and we're broadcasting the Summerfest concert. We're in a trailer. My friend John Rivers is the announcer. I'm the color man. He would introduce me. I would speak to the artist. Judy Collins was up next. I just finished an interview. She was going to perform and then come back and talk with me. I turn around and there's Judy Collins, and I'm looking at her right in the eyes. And she has eyes that are only this big.
Did you get her phone number?
I had a great line that I laid on her. I said, "You really do have big eyes." Oh. And the look on her face was, "Oh my God." Fortunately, I'd done the homework. I had 3 pages of notes. I acknowledged her piano teacher because she was a concert pianist, and I rescued myself. But,
Now, and you went to music school. What instrument did you study?
I didn't study an instrument. I played drums.
Oh.
That's a drum.
Percussion's an instrument. Oh my goodness.
I think that's
Drummers are notoriously
Trouble.
Is that true?
My husband's a drummer.
Well, he knows, and us drummers stick together. There's a whole bunch of these terrible jokes amongst musicians
About drummers.
about drummers,
About drummers, of
who
which you
stick
are.
together with. What do you call someone who hangs out with musicians? A drummer. So there's all those kind of
sounds like
things.
the most fun, though.
We have to take a short break, but we will be right back to continue our conversation with legendary DJ Jim Santella. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Daily Buzz 716. We're continuing our conversation with Jim Santella, legendary Buffalo DJ and author of the book Classic Rock, Classic Jock. Jim,
Yes.
we immediately want to get right into a really important moment in your career, a defining moment in your career, April 24th, 1972. Tell us what happened that day and how it impacted your career.
It was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
That's what I thought. I had planned a great show, picked a lot of music, and when I woke up that morning, I had the radio on, and the radio station didn't sound right. I mean, stations have a particular sound if they have disc jockeys having the freedom to play what they wanted to. And I called up the jock, and I found out that management had reduced the library, which was about 5,000 records, to 500.
Wow.
Oh.
And I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to do my show when I have just this small amount of records? And I decided that I was going to walk off the air. And the reason I was going to walk off the air, because if I did what radio management wants you to be a professional, which means if you can't agree with us, get out of here. There would be no attention brought to it. So I sort of grew up in the media age and knew how the media worked. And that night, I got on the air. I think, paraphrasing what I said, was that I thought this was going to be a great night. What management deems it their prerogative to program everything that I play, and I can't do that. They certainly have the right to get rid of me, but I don't have to work. And I just walked off the air and left.
Silence.
Wow.
Actually, the song that I left was a Jefferson Airplane song. And I think it was something called Revolution. I got into more trouble. I was blackballed in the city. Everyone told me I would never work in that radio station again. When management people say you'll never work in this town again, that's only half of the statement. The real statement is you'll never work in this town again unless we need you. And a year and a half later, they needed me, and I was back working in radio. I was very lucky in that when I would leave one job or get fired, something else would open up. I got working even at a country station. They changed my name to Joel B. Williams, but I loved it. I loved it. Short story, I didn't know anything about country music. And my friend Al Wallach said, well, then shut up. Just say, here is, that was. And for a month, I did this. And one day, Buck Owens' song was there, and it said, Act Naturally. I know that song. That's a Beatles song. Coming up next, Act Naturally by Buck Owens. The entire phone bank lights up. I said, wow, I guess they like that. WWOL. Joel B., you idiot. Buck Owens wrote that song, not the Beatles.
I have a question for you, Jim. When this first happened on your birthday, when the radio station said we're reducing you from 5,000 records to 500 records, that was just so so insulting to you. You know, that struck you right at the core of who you see yourself as a musician. Why? Why did that become such a turning point for you that you'd go from 5,000 to 500? What was so detrimental about that?
I guess I grew up in a period in which a lot of freedom seemed to be our birthright. It was that 60s, 70s hippie attitude, or Jack Kerouac, or Beatnik, freedom. There was a change in the society, and I identified with that. And it seemed to go against all my beliefs, all of my thoughts and philosophy, that you can't tell me what to do as long as I'm ready to take the consequences. And I was. It was okay. I never worked in radio again. I got to do it my way.
But is there a conflict between business and radio? I mean, were they doing that because of a business decision?
Yes and no. Management, owners, it's their property. They have a right to ask you to do what they want. But if you can program and get an audience, a viable audience, then you should have some input into it. As long as you are expert, and like I said, I always wanted to be expert in everything. When I would come to the radio station, I had literally a huge bag of music, information, something planned. My show was always planned. I had a lot of fun.
You did thematic shows.
I did thematic shows. I would like to say that I practiced my ad-libs. I would bring in material.
And you don't see that now. This idea that a radio show has a theme. That's maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not finding that unless you go to like Sirius XM as opposed to broadcast radio.
They are emulating what we did back then. Give you an idea of something thematic. You could play a Neil Young song, and maybe a bird song, and maybe a Holly song, and then a CSNY song. And the connection between it is these are the members as soloists, and this is them together. So it gives you just a different look. You're listening to them in the context of the style
You're
of
also
music.
educating the listener
Right.
about the art, about the music, about the artists themselves.
The word that you hit, art. Radio can be an art. And when I heard radio when I was a kid, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, radio was much closer to being an art. It's always made money. We're a capitalist society.
Sure. Well,
It's a business. That's what we were talking about.
Right.
Keep it
Do you
rolling.
think your voice had something to do with your success?
I'm told that there's something about my voice. I really don't know. I've been told I hear my voice, I don't like my voice.
It's hard to hear yourself, Jim.
Yeah.
Is
But
it?
obviously,
Oh my gosh.
obviously,
For
everyone
everybody.
else likes your voice. Ladies, Jim was inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2005.
Yay.
So somebody likes your voice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
The Buffalo Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, the Buffalo Music
Both.
and Buffalo Broadcasters.
So
Very nice.
Buffalo has been very, very good to me. I am a Buffalonian. I was born in Buffalo. I was raised in Buffalo. I was raised on the east side for the first 12 years of my life. I'd wake up in the morning, Sunday morning. Across the street was a Pentecostal storefront church. I woke up to church ladies with big hats singing. That's Aretha Franklin is my alarm clock.
Oh, can you imagine?
Tell
Jim,
us what
we only have
advice.
a moment left. We only have a
Yes,
moment left. I think
yes.
Penny
Tell
and I
us
are
what-
thinking the same
yeah.
thing. Advice for the young DJ who's struggling with that same conflict of the art versus the business of radio.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. We put
That's
you on
a
the spot,
huge
man.
responsibility
It is.
because
Tough question.
my heart wants to say, do it your way if you believe in it and be willing to accept the consequences. But there's not even an opportunity. So I, trying to be practical, would say either have your own blog or find some serious FM station that'll let you do what you want to do.
Technology is giving the freedom back to the artist.
Yes.
Today, the way
more
technology
opportunities.
is,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely more opportunities.
We want to thank Jim Santella for being with us today and sharing his colorful stories of working in the radio. Be sure to look for his book, Classic Rock, Classic Jock, to learn more. We have to take a short break, but up next, it's time to eat out for a great cause. Stay with us.